Hello there, everybody. Not really sure if I'm live yet, so I'm just going to chit chat away for a couple of minutes. Haven't been here that much recently. I do apologize. I will explain why to you here in a short period of time. Just so those of you who are not aware of the way we do things on AstroTalk, this is a forum for you to ask any questions that you might have astrologically. But I need to clarify what I mean by that. What I don't mean is this is a place for you to come and ask questions about your own personal horoscope. I'm a professional astrologer, so I earn money for what I do. As I'm likely sure that you're aware that I earn money for what I do, so I can't really give my services away for free. But what this is a forum for you to do is to come ask any questions that you might have about how astrology functions or how certain elements of astrology function, so you can gain some clarity in departments which I may or may not have some expertise in. But if I don't have expertise in it, don't worry, I'm not going to open my mouth and say, gee, I've got a lot of expertise in that area. So if you have questions about astrology and how indeed it works, please feel free to drop them over in the comments section. I'm just letting people who visit my Facebook page know that we're live as well. That generally takes me about 10, 15 seconds to kind of go through all the posts. But I will see your questions. It's a good time for you to pop your questions. And then we'll start answering away. I'm only here for a little bit of time tonight because I have somebody coming up as a client in just a little bit. Hello to Secha and to Anim. So hello to everybody so far. Thanks for joining. It's been quite a crazy week. I've been wanting to make my website faster for all of you who come to visit my website. And, I decided I would, do what I thought was a really smart thing and take the server control into my own hands, take hosting into my own hands, which ultimately it was a really good thing to do. But initially, it was a little crazy. And so it turned everything upside down with the website. So if you visited the site recently and it seemed a little topsy-turvy, that's why. But everything is now running smoothly and so much faster than it has before. So you might want to check it out tonight. In addition to that, I have a special offer for you as I'm going to put forward to you, and then we'll get into answering some of the questions, and I'll repeat the offer again. 2022 year ahead consultations are now available through the Academy. All you have to do, if not the Academy, my website, sorry, multitasking and thinking that I have to type this in the window because I didn't save it. So I tell you what, why don't I type first? So you have it. And let's check everything before I hit the send button. I'll copy that so that we don't have to do that all over again. But 2022 year ahead consultations are now up and running through my website, which now has a different domain name, which is michaelreedastrology.com. And you can go schedule those through my website if you choose. If you do, you're going to get a course bundle. I presently have the predictive package, which contains 3 different courses. One of them is Module 1 of Learn the Divisional Charts, which explains to you the Varga deities, critical houses, critical planets of the Vargas up to the Saptamsha chart. Module 2 and further on, we'll have more, but presently only Module 1 is available. Also, Jaimini Level 1 is presently available as part of that package, and Concrete Prediction with Vimshotri Dasha. Jaimini Level 1 is 44 classes. Concrete Prediction with Vimshotri Dasha is 17. And Learn the Divisional Charts is 19. So you get a lot of classes, all for scheduling in either the 2022 year ahead consultation or any 60-minute consultation that you schedule through my site. Or you can just purchase it directly. It's presently at a discount. So you can do that through the link I'm going to put in the window here. That's where you can schedule a consultation. If you take the same link and instead we change that last bit to course bundles, then if you want to, you can purchase the course bundle directly, which is a $219 value. So you can either spend $219 and get the predictive package, or you can schedule in the 60-minute year ahead consultation or any 60-minute consultation for $143 and get that for free. I think I know which one you'll go for. So let's see what we've got in terms of questions over here. How is Saturn in Shravana affecting the world right now? Well, I can give you my opinion on that. First of all, I think that what Saturn is asking us to do in its transit through Shravana Nakshatra is to look at the bigger picture, right? Because we tend to see things in a very limited perspective. As we're beginning to discover there are things, beneath the surface of situations in the world that we're seeing deeper and deeper if we open our eyes, if we open our ears, and if we pay attention. So Saturn will deliver those in a bit of a difficult way, but at the same time, it will make us question how are we disconnected or are we connected, right? And it'll make us take a look at the essence of things rather than things that are up by the surface. Equally, it's confronting us with the path, because an interesting thing happens with Shravana Nakshatra, where quite often we get confronted with a choice of directions that we have an opportunity to take. And we're being asked, do you want to go this way or do you want to go that way? Sure, we can choose any of those. Each of them has a repercussion, but any direction we choose, we're going to hopefully get the best information from. And humanity really is at quite a threshold right now. We're at the brink of a very difficult time, and we have some very difficult choices to make. Ultimately, beneath the surface of all those choices is the play of creation that's going on. But we don't really see that. We tend to see things at the surface. And, I could say, it doesn't really matter what decision you make, but ultimately, we want to choose the direction that feels right here at all times. Beneath the surface, in terms of evolution and growth, we have no choice but to grow and evolve. So you asked me the question, what I thought about Saturn and Shravana. In a nutshell, that's the two-sided coin, double-edged sword. That's the answer to that. Okay, let's see what else we've got. What is the primary use of Jaimini? Primary use of Jaimini astrology, there's so many different uses of it. Jaimini astrology generally tends to show more of the concrete situation rather than the subjective situation. Both of those are real, right? The mind in subjectivity experiences a state of reality and it feels real to the individual. Jaimini is less lunar based because Vimshotri Dasha is calculated based on the moon's nakshatra. Jaimini dashas, with the exception of Kala Chakra Dasha, are all calculated in different ways. And Jaimini dashas, as they're based on rashis rather than planets, Jaimini Dasha is very solar based because it's based on the sun's movement over the course of the year. If you look at rashis as being related to that from a seasonal perspective, Jaimini astrology also is just, by its very nature, is very solar oriented, which means this is just how things are because the sun's a very dry planet. This is how things are. This is the way it's going to be, and this is how it's going to go. So in Jaimini astrology, you might go through a time that says you have a really easy time getting married. Marriage comes together really easily. Things are moving ahead at a really great pace in terms of your marriage. And you go and you look in Vimshotri Dasha and it says you feel like absolute and utter beep. And so you have two different realities of a situation, both of which are incredibly meaningful for the individual. So it's good to know a little bit of both of those. I'm going to look at some other questions, but again, to mention, if you're interested in scheduling either the 2022 year ahead consultation or any other 60-minute consultation, you can do so through the link that, not the one that just popped up in the chat window, but the one that I'm going to put in the window right now. So michaelreedastrology.com. And let me see, somebody said they can't open it. Ignore the course bundle one that I just sent you. Ignore both of those. Goodness gracious, I misspelled, everybody. We're missing an A. So somebody said I can't open it in India. That's because I gave you the wrong link. So we're going to give you the right link. Okay, so if you schedule in the 2022 year ahead consultation, you will get the predictive package, which contains the Learn the Divisional Charts course, 19 classes, in addition to J. Meany Level 1, which is 44 classes, and Concrete Prediction with Vimshotri Dasha. Now, I'm hoping I typed that correctly in the chat window because, again, it's still trying to tell me that I messed something up. So I'm just going to see if I did. Tell you what, let's just take the time, get it right, so I don't give you something that's wrong. Okay, and we'll try this again. I think I typed it wrong before. So here is the correct link to my astrological services page, and I will answer some more questions if you want to go there. And if you just want to buy the course bundle, which is so much more expensive, it's about $100 more, but hey, sometimes people like doing that. Then it's discounted. But if you schedule in a 60-minute consultation or the 2022 year ahead consultation, then you'll get that predictive package for free. Okay, so let's see what else we've got in terms of questions. By the way, Dipanshu, just so you understand, this is not for me to look at your birth chart for free. I do charge for that. This is me just coming on and answering general questions people have about astrology. Sometimes people get it wrong and don't understand that. So just to clarify. Random question again. What sort of habit or changes you do which you may share to us as winter comes, spiritually or in general? Anim, I'm not really sure if I understand. Please feel free to clarify. Please feel free to clarify. And I see, Dipanshu, that you then tried to follow the link. You were the one who was saying that. So that link should work for you now if you want to go to the page. Okay. Thank you, Teresa, for saying that the information I gave you in a consultation was very good. I appreciate that. Let's see if anybody has any other general questions about astrology. Please feel free to post them in the chat window. Been a crazy week. Be interested to hear how many of you get headaches around eclipse time. I know that I'm like really prone. Every single time there's either a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse, I begin to like get very headachy. And it was the same thing this morning. It seems to have been abated at the present moment, so I'm keeping it at bay. But share your eclipse experiences in the comments section. In addition to that, any general questions you might have about astrology? So you said a bit of a random question. What sort of habit or changes you do which you may share to us as winter comes, spiritually or in general? Well, I tend to sleep a lot. That may not have been what you were wanting the answer to, but it is very true. It is very true that I tend to sleep a lot in the winter and rest a lot. And I generally try to take some time off and slow down. The rest of the year, I'm generally going 7 days a week and teaching courses and doing consultations and so many different things. In the winter, I try to slow down for a few weeks. What is the impact of the solar eclipse in relationships? Well, number one, first of all, a colleague of mine did a video on that recently, Ernst Wilhelm. You can go and watch his video on it. He has a good explanation of why he was saying that it seems to be an eclipse focused on relationships. Eclipses are not always focused on relationships. This one seemed to have had a bit more of a focus on relationships. I just see it coming from the perspective of clarity, because the lunar eclipse was in Kritika, nakshatra, and the solar eclipse was in Jyeshta nakshatra. And it's been an eclipse that's been focusing on purification and gaining clarity. And when we begin to gain that clarity inside of ourselves, ultimately our relationships with people are going to change. Eclipses can be about different things for each person, though, dependent upon where they're falling in your horoscope, what planets they're interacting with, etc. So for myself, yes, it was focused on relationships, but that's because it was interacting with relationship houses. Not everybody would have had that particular experience, but go watch Ernst's video when we get done, and he can probably explain his take on why that was happening. I didn't focus on it from that perspective. Okay. Do I think readings regarding asteroids and chart like Juno, Vesta provide extra insight from a Vedic perspective? I think that it's interesting to explore anything and everything. And I think that it's good to experiment because that's how science grows. We have a lot of traditional techniques with Vedic astrology. We can also experiment and grow our techniques and grow our understanding. But in general, myself, I don't get a lot of value from looking at the asteroids because I generally tend to find that other things are showing the very same information in the chart. And so no extra insight is really given in that particular department. I used to feel the same way about the outer planets, though, and I'm generally beginning to look into the outer planets a little bit more here and there because they take it to a deeper level. They show the same thing, but they show a lot more of the depth of it. Like recently, at the time of the lunar eclipse, we had a Mars opposition to Uranus. Mars was in Swati at the time, I believe. It was either Swati or Vishaka. And Uranus is in Bharani Nakshatra. And so that equally was bringing quite a quantum shift in things, right? So it's worth looking into all things and seeing what you can gain from it. Is having a planet at Gandanta Point always bad for materialistic gain? No, I don't think so. I think Gandanta points, much like Sati Sati, are taken and expanded upon quite often. Much like in Western astrology, Mercury retrograde gets the bad reputation, so to speak. Gandanta points are transitional phases between the different triad sections of nakshatras. I'll explain. We have the Rajasic triad, which is Ashwini all the way through Ashlesha. And then you have Magha all the way through Jyeshta, which is the Tamasic triad. And then you have Mula all the way through Revati, which is the Sattvic triad. So with that being the case, generally with Revati, the last pada of Revati into the first pada of Ashwini is the Gandanta point. The last pada of Ashlesha into Magha, equally a Gandanta point. And the last pada of Jyeshta into Mula, equally a Gandanta point. The thing that all three of those have in common is they're all connected with Mercury. So if you have a strong Mercurian chart, those Gandanta points are not quite as difficult to cope with. And so that's something that, to take a look at and to take into consideration. Thank you, Jeremiah Jameson, for your donation. By the way, I'm going to mention to people one more time that if you would like to get the predictive package, which is a bundle of courses, you get Learn the Divisional Charts, which is 19 videos. You get Concrete Prediction with Vimshotri Dasha, which is 17 videos, and you get Jaimini Level 1, which is 44 videos. And you get all three of those courses put together simply for scheduling in either a 60-minute consultation of some sort. 60-minute consultations are the 60-minute consultation. Who would have thought? The complete career analysis or the 2022 year ahead consultation. Let's see. What happens if your partner and yourself have the same planets in certain houses, past life connections, etc.? Example, both have moon in the 8th house. Well, you can equally have an understanding of each other. In that particular department, you both understand things in the same way. Sometimes people think that specific karmic connections, like, oh, this person's K2 is right on top of this. And so I know that this person's my soulmate and that there's a karmic connection. You know what? Sometimes with those nodal links to relationship factors, then you have to really pay attention to that relationship, because once you've worked through the karma with your partner, then you have to question whether there's still a relationship or not. So karmic connections in terms of relationships are not always positive things, because unless you're able to expand the relationship beyond the karmic reasons that the two of you were coming together, right? So let's see what else we've got. I may have missed a question further up, and if I didn't, you can feel free to pop your question in the chat window. There's 14 of you watching now, and there's about 2 or 3 of you answering questions. So some of you are sitting down on the job, and you need to get busy popping your questions into the chat window about how certain things in astrology work. Okay, because otherwise you're just going to have to listen to me and my marketing messages over and over again. It's a surefire way to get people to put things in the window. So again, you get the prediction package if you schedule in a 60-minute consultation. That's 2022 year ahead consultation, etc. Through my website. You get that absolutely free, which is a $219 value. So let's see if anybody has any other questions that they want to ask. Oh, I kind of missed this one. Our body is so filled with water, full and new moons definitely affect us. Maybe that increase in pressure has more mental effect on people, less conscious and physical in those of paying attention. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, so that's why people tend to get headaches. Yeah. How will this affect me with Mercury and Sun in Jeshta? It'll likely bring you a new insight, but in terms of what areas of your life that's going to influence, it's really going to be down to what houses those planets rule. And I generally ask people to schedule in for those purposes, because it's hard for me to just give you clear answers based on 1 or 2 planets in the horoscope. Does the fixed star Spica in conjunction with Pluto have a bad meaning? Nothing in astrology necessarily has a bad meaning. People like to kind of simplify astrology and go, oh, you've got moon in Ashlesha Nakshatra, that's bad. Oh, you have this planet here, that's bad. Well, guess what? I've got news for you, because there's no such real term as benefic and malefic in astrology. The real term for that is Somya, meaning gentle, or Krura, meaning cruel, right? So what we call benefic planets are gentle planets. They can give you bad things, but in a gentle manner, or they can give you good things in a gentle manner. And cruel planets can give you good things in a cruel, harsh manner, or bad things in a harsh manner. But it's not that one factor is necessarily good or bad in astrology. A person with Pluto conjuncting Spica, meaning Pluto and Chitra, would mean that that person could be really focused on ethics. You'd have to really understand Mars, or they could get very depressed and disillusioned, or you could find that that depression and disillusionment helps them to do great things in the world. Really, it's down to the individual horoscope and what's happening at certain points. I think I just answered that question for you, Sheikha. A question regarding stories related to astrology. Yeah, there's different reasons. Somebody's saying a question regarding stories related to astrology. According to mythology, Brihaspati did not have a good relationship with the moon, Chandra. However, in astrology, why is Jupiter exalted in Cancer? Well, you can come up with reasons for that. But the thing that you'll begin to learn is that even though things are mythologically related in astrology, there are things that are put together with, meaning like planets and their exaltation points. Sorry, I was reading somebody's question. Happy birthday, Jeremiah Jameson. Okay. So, sometimes there are different reasons as to why planets are exalted in certain areas rather than a mythological reason. But if you'll remember from that particular story, Jupiter also decided to adopt Mercury, right? due to that and actually raised Mercury himself. So Jupiter did get a potential good thing out of it, right? Which is the concept of discrimination and discernment using Jupiter's spiritual perspective. So Jupiter's spiritual perspective feeding into discernment and discretion, which are some things that are related to Mercury, can help to overcome the more difficult lunar tendencies that get us involved in the emotions, right? That's a good way to understand that. So Jupiter, in short, teaches us how to be content because we get discernment through Jupiter's connection with Mercury on the mythological level, not the astrological level. And that helps one to, if you're feeling like depressed and going, oh goodness, nothing is really that great in my life. Oh, well, look on the bright side. Maybe I'm just seeing things in a negative light. Gives us spiritual discernment. Okay, I'm running out of voice, everybody, so I'm not going to really make it much longer, especially considering I have a 90-minute consultation coming up soon. So again, if you schedule in any 60-minute consultation at the link that I'm going to put in the chat window now, you get the prediction package of courses, which has really, we're talking about 80 videos, right? You get 80 videos, really just for scheduling in a 60-minute consultation. The regular 60-minute consultation is normally priced, but the 2022 year ahead is $143. So is the complete career analysis. That's still on sale. So if you want to go in and schedule in either of those, you're going to get the prediction package absolutely free. I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat window. I'm going to wait about another minute or so, and then I'm going to bid you an a fondue. Sorry, I've always wanted to say that. All right, everybody, thanks for watching tonight. I'm beginning to lose my throat. I need to go, but thanks for joining me, and I'll talk to everybody the next time I'm on, which hopefully won't be a long period of time this time.